Guys want to practice kiting and get better at kiting, then this video is definitely for you. My name is Wackaflcka and I hope you guys having a good morning, evening, or which one fit shit like that. So yeah, let's get started. Basically what this means, or what this implies, is that you go into practice tool, you add the bot, and then eventually you'll just run away from the bot permanently, as opposed to just adding dummies, which I've shown before. And it's quite simple, and the end result looks something like this. You get a big fucking mundo that throws skill shots at you and just chases you. And this is better than dummies for multiple reasons. One being the most obvious one is that he doesn't just stand still when he actually chases you, which enables you to actually practice kiting in a better way. And the second reason why this is good is because he also throws his cleavers, right? And sometimes he'll run away, but then like most of the time he'll just chase you, especially if you get low. But you need to add the auto refresh HP, otherwise he's gonna kill you. Unless you play perfectly. So yeah, this is the end result. If this seems interesting to you, then feel free to keep watching, because now I'm going to show you guys what you need to do to get this. And it takes a bit to set up, but once you've set it up, then you're all good. So let's get started. First thing you're going to want to do is go to the player here, click training, practice tool, and then obviously select a bot by pressing the add bot. Someone tanky is preferred, so anything like Cho'Gath, Mundo, etc. But Mundo's nice because he throws skill shots and he also has the HP regen and everything else. But I mean, you can add whatever bot you want. But I would again recommend adding a tanky one. And then you start the game. Select the champion you want to practice on. I mean, these things are just basic. Obviously, I would also recommend adding lethal tempo if you want to practice kiting with faster attack speeds. Summoners doesn't really matter. And then you get into game. So once you're in game, there's a few things you're going to want to do. First one being to refresh your cooldown HP and mana by either pressing these three buttons here, or the button X, Z, and C. And then you want to add gold to yourself. It caps out 100k, so just go ahead and spam that button. And then next you want to level up by pressing Shift Y or the button, as you can see here. One thing I do want to say though is I recommend you to lock your level at 11 or any level lower than 18 at least. I choose 11. But you can do whatever you want to do. And then next thing you want to do is just make turrets invincible, meaning they can't take damage, because you're going to spam minions to level up Mundo. And then also you're going to want to fully stack your runes just so you get more attack speed because of alacrity. Then you buy yourself some items. Whatever items you choose to buy is up to you, but I do recommend buying items that ideally don't deal too much damage, being like PD, RFC, static shiv. At least like single target damage, but obviously you want attack speed. So depending on what kind of attack speed you want to practice kiting at, those are the items you get. Guinso is obviously going to deal a lot of damage, so maybe it's not completely ideal. But it is up to you what you decide to do. Once you get the hang of this and how to do it, then everything should be fine, right? So that is it. And at this point, Mundo's going to come to this lane here, as you can see. It's level 5. And as you can see now that I'm higher level than him, he's actually quite scared. So the next thing you're going to want to do now is just fast forward the game 10 minutes. But what is really important is that you spam buttons while you do it. Otherwise, you're going to end up going AFK while this happens, and the game might just close on you. So it's very important that you just spam right click or something on the ground just to make sure that you don't go AFK. And at this point we might just slow the game a bit faster, because once the game reaches 60 minutes, what ends up happening is that the game ends, and ideally you don't want that to happen, right? So we're just gonna slowly fast forward the game now. And then you want to kill Mundo once or twice, so he actually ends up buying items. But as you can see, I don't deal that much damage right now. So at this point, before this, you might want to end up buying like just some damage items. And you'll see now that when I have these items, I'm dealing a lot more damage to Mundo, right? But because of his ultimate is healing, which makes it still like practical or able at this point. But even then, I would still recommend, depending, I mean, you can see yourself what you end up doing, right? Like, if you end up dealing too much damage, then you just sell some items and just get other ones. Reason I end up dying here is because I give him gold. So he I mean, it's a weird interaction. Like, practice tour in general is just a bit weird to get the hang of. I mean, he uses flash and everything too, which is nice. But yeah, it's just a bit weird. You'll have to get used to it. Sometimes everything doesn't work as it should, or like how it's meant to be. So it's a bit clunky. So like you might have to just get the hang of this in general. And second thing you can, or not second, we've come to several steps here. You can add HP and armor to him by using these buttons here on the side. Add resistances, add armor. And obviously adding resistances is good because it makes him tanky. You also want to add some HP as well. Because sometimes he doesn't end up buying items. Like now he has 4 mil. Usually goes Sunfire into Heartsteel. But it's a bit weird. Sometimes even though he has items, he doesn't end up buying anything. Mundo's just completely in-thing, you know? So now we'll just fast forward the game again. And then we'll kill him once. And then we'll see what happens. What he ends up buying. And also one thing that has to be said is that the game actually goes a bit slower when there's slow minions in the game. Which is when you want to cure the minions by pressing this button here. Disable or enable minion spawn. Which gets rid of the minions. Allowing you to actually have the game play as normal again. Or if you have a bad PC and you like a lot, then that's also another reason to get rid of them. So now we have to find Mundo. Usually he goes to mid lane at this point. So if you can't find him, then I recommend looking at mid. You can see, like, even at this point here, it's still, like, decent, you know? So, I mean, if he dies, you can just respawn him again. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, as I said before, like, I do think this is the better option now when it comes to practicing kiting, because you actually get someone that chases you. And once his ultimate runs out, he ends up dying at this point. But it is fine because you can just fast forward the game again. You press it twice, he should be back. Right? So just keep doing this. Just make sure that the timer doesn't hit 60 minutes, which is why you want to kind of find an ideal method of just getting him to this point here without spending too much time, because once you reach 60 minutes, it's going to be over. But once you get to this point, you get a really nice champion to practice your kiting on. As long as it doesn't run away like this. So again, if he's taking too much damage, consider selling some items. I mean, Bork is obviously a 10 killer item. And added with Gwyn, so you get that extra... My brain just doesn't work. You get that extra penetration, which enables Bork even more, right? So again, just consider buying items that doesn't necessarily deal too much damage. Like I have now. Still a nice attack speed. You have close to 3. And you also don't deal too much damage. So yeah, this is everything that is to be needed for you to be able to do this yourself and get to practice your kiting in any way you see fit. So yeah, take care. And hope you guys enjoyed. I do recommend doing this if you feel like practicing kiting. I mean, you can do it with only boots. You don't necessarily need to buy items. People obviously want to practice kiting in different levels because at, say, this attack speed here, it's going to be different as opposed to practicing with, say, 1 second or 1 attack speed. Because the only issue people have when it comes to kiting is just not kiting properly because they are cancelling the auto attacks. So maybe sometimes you might actually want to practice kiting with lower attack speed as opposed to higher one, right? So changing items, selling, buying, adding different attack speeds, practicing with all of them is what I recommend. But at the end of the day, having someone chase you and throw cleavers and everything is what you want. So yeah, hope you guys got something out of this, and Become pro space gliders. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.